Every once in a while, I'll get a story that reminds me of the true evil that exists in this world. And I'm not talking about the evil that we can see. I'm talking about the evil that whispers in murderers' ears, that whispers in rapists' ears, the evil that makes us harm ourselves, that causes us to go mentally insane. I'm talking about demons. I'm talking about true evil. Tonight's submitter did not tell me whether I could use her real name or not, so I'm going to be calling her Elena. This happened to Elena when she was 16 years old, a month from when she was 17 years old. She's 20 now. She had just taken a job as an ILS specialist. If you don't know what that is, it's just basically somebody who helps people out who have cognitive or physical disabilities. Typically, someone her age wouldn't get a job like this, especially at the company she was working for. But her mom's boyfriend worked for the company and he was able to put in a good word, and she didn't even have to interview for the job. Fast forward about a month later, and she just loves her job. She loves the clients that she works with, she absolutely adores them, and she loves the job itself. One particular morning, her client ended up canceling her shift due to an illness. So she called it in and got a reassignment to work with a client that she had never worked with before so that she wouldn't miss out on hours. So she reads the specific documents before going in, and she learns that this client has autism. So she arrives at the client's house, she knocks on the door, the client opens the door, the client seems very sweet, but there's just something off about her. Her hair was very matted, her clothes were all stained and ripped, and there was an odor so strong it smelled like a dead animal. So she briefly suggests that they work together on cleaning her up, and then she explains the importance of keeping clean to avoid things like illness or infection. She had briefly worked as a CNA previously to this, and she knew the background information on what not taking care of yourself can cause. She just looked at her and says, "He won't let me." Now, Elena is pretty confused by this because she looked at her documentation, and her documentation did not say that anyone else was living in the home. In fact, it said that she was a pretty independent woman other than the fact that she had autism. So she asks her what she means, and the woman just shrugs her shoulders. And so she tries again, and this time the woman just turns around and goes and sits at the dining room table where some art supplies were. So she just follows her and sits down next to her, and she begins drawing. Now, she had noticed when she had passed the living room to go into the dining room that there was a full-length mirror in there, and it was very, very tall. She was about 5'8", and this had to be about 6 feet tall, she said. She also noticed that it had streak marks on it and a bit of crack marks at the top of the mirror. Now, Elena is not sure why she noticed so much detail passing by it, but she thinks it's because she just got an off feeling about it. Now, it's important to note that the chair that she sat down on ended up being in front of the mirror. So if she had turned around, she would have been able to see the living room and her reflection. Now, they sit in silence for a few moments, and then she tries to make small talk with her. She asks her about her favorite hobbies, different things she likes to do, but the woman is giving her very vague answers, either one-word answers or she's just shrugging her shoulders. Now, knowing that sometimes people with autism struggle to socialize, she kind of respected that, and she decided that in that moment, she would make her comfortable and she would just sit in silence with her. So about 30 minutes pass, and she really only speaks to her to compliment her drawings because they were actually very well drawn. They were ranging from flowers to unique abstract shapes to other random things. But she usually wouldn't answer, and if she did, she would only mutter "thank you." A couple of minutes pass after this, and she starts to get really, really cold. She said it literally felt like all of the windows had been open and they were all closed, and she was in a t-shirt and leggings, so she was pretty cold. She then suggests that she turns on the heating because she figures at this point she must be cold too, but all the woman says is, "I need it cold." And she just leaves it at that. Then Elena looks down and she sees her aggressively flip the page, and she just starts drawing in her notebook. She sees her begin to draw what looks like the letter T, but in a bubble letter font. She soon realized that she may be drawing a cross. Now, she could only see the top half of it at this point, but that's what she thought that it was. And she thought about asking her if she was religious, but she didn't want to make her feel uncomfortable. And they were also taught not to talk about things like that with clients. So Elena asks her, "What are you drawing?" And she smiles and she says, "It's a cross." And she finishes drawing it, and then she notices that it's a full cross at this point, and that now it is fully upside down. So Elena just lightly says, "I think you drew that the wrong way." you know, and she grabs her necklace, which was a cross necklace, and she says, look, this is what a cross is supposed to look like. And the woman's face immediately drops. The woman then says, you shouldn't have that in here. And Elena says, why? And the woman says, he doesn't like it. And then she looks down and she just starts drawing again. At this point, she's starting to get pretty creeped out. And she's also getting even colder. It's starting to get freezing. And she can't remember if she had brought a jacket with her. And then she starts thinking, did I leave my jacket in the car? Is it in the living room? So she looks behind her to see if she can see it in the living room, and she catches a glance at the mirror. From where she's sitting, she can only see herself in the mirror, but she can see her client's hand as she's drawing on the paper. She then suddenly gets this really strange feeling that she just couldn't explain. It was almost like a mix with dread and then also that something bad was going to happen. She's kind of just sitting there looking in the mirror, and then she sees that her client's hand stops moving and just goes completely still. She then waits to see if she's going to continue coloring in the mirror, but she doesn't. Her hand is just completely still. At this point, for some reason, she just feels frozen in fear, and she has this intense feeling that somebody is watching her. And then simultaneously, she feels a breath on the back of her neck so hard that her hair moved. So she spins around and she is face to face with her client. Their noses are practically touching. Now keep in mind that since she was able to see her full body in that mirror, she would have seen if her client was behind her head. She could also see her hand in the mirror before she had turned around. So there was no way for her client to get directly behind her in the amount of time that she had gotten directly behind her to be face to face with her. So she kind of recoils back a little bit, but the client just moves forward and is still right in her face. She's now practically leaning over the entire table just to be that close to Elena's face. So Elena kind of puts her hand on her chest and just jokingly says, "You scared me." The woman then slowly leans back and just smiles at her. The grin looked unusual. It almost looked like it hurt. The woman then looks behind her and her face immediately drops, and she says, "He doesn't like you." She instinctively turns around, but she doesn't see anybody. All she sees is the living room and the blank mirror. So she turns back around and she just says, "Why doesn't he like me?" Not really expecting a reasonable answer, but she says, "Because you brought that in here." And then she looks down at her cross. She immediately apologizes and says, I didn't know. She even offers to bring it out to her car, but the lady just shakes her head and says, "He wants you and it to leave." She assumed it was the cross, but she was too stunned to speak. She literally could not find the words. But before she could manage to even mutter a word out, she hears this. The mirror had cracked straight down the middle. It was a perfectly straight line. So she instinctively stands up, and then in the mirror, she sees her client's hand leave the table, and then she hears the creak of the chair that her client was sitting at. So she slowly turns around to then see the woman standing there just staring at her. And before she can say anything, she looks down at the woman's drawing and sees that she's holding the picture of the cross upside down, just staring at her. Another second then passes, and she hears this loud, deep scream. It was so loud and so deep that it sounded like an entirely different person. Now this scared her so badly that she dropped her phone on the ground and stumbled backwards. The screaming just stops, and then they're just now staring at each other for what felt like hours. And then she finally reaches down for her phone, and as she's doing so, she just asks, "Are you okay?" Then Elena looks up, and she's a step closer to her now, but there's something different about her eyes. It's so unsettling to her that she was frozen in fear. Her heart is pounding in her chest at this point. The woman then starts to mumble something, and at first she can't understand what she's saying, but then she realizes that she's saying, He says, get out. 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 She tries to calm her down and she's asking her if she wants her to leave and end the shift early, but the woman's talking is just getting louder and louder until it is like full-blown yelling. She was just stuck staring at her. She felt dread wash over her and she could not move. Elena was just stuck staring at her. She felt dread wash over her. She couldn't move. She was clutching her phone so hard, she's surprised it didn't break. And then the woman just takes a step closer to her. She finally snaps out of it and she takes a step back into the living room and she just mumbles gibberish, okay, I'm leaving. She was so scared she couldn't even speak. The woman takes another step forward and she just turns around and runs into the living room. She purposefully did not look back and she did not look into that mirror. She remembers hearing fast footsteps behind her, not running, speed walking, as she's just repeating that phrase over and over again. He says, get out. He says, get out. He says, get out. She then just runs out of the door without even shutting it because she's so terrified, and she just gets in her car and sits in it thinking, what the hell just happened to me? She cannot believe that this just happened to her. She then looked in her rearview mirror to see the front door just close. It was too dark to see if the client had closed it herself, but she was just glad that she didn't run after her. She immediately just starts sobbing and her hands are shaking so bad she can't even press the button to start her car. So she just sits there for a moment trying to gather herself when suddenly she feels something brush against her neck and then fall into her lap. She looks down to see the cross necklace broken in her lap. The chain had appeared to snap in half. And the part that made her blood run cold, it landed upside down. She remembers just driving home and going to her mom, explaining to her mom, sobbing what happened. And her mom, of course, just said, you know, the client has autism. That might just be her behavior. She wanted to believe that, but the fact that she was that close to her face without the mirror catching her, the mirror breaking, and her cross necklace really made her believe that there was something truly evil in that house, specifically in that mirror. Elena surprisingly kept that job, but she never worked with that client again. So, before I go into what I think about the story, because that was utterly terrifying. I'm so sorry about the sound quality of my video. My mic is clearly broken. I tried putting the noise canceling on and it just keeps shutting off. So I have another mic that I'll be using for my videos from now on. I noticed that my past two videos, the sound quality is terrible and it is going to affect my views, but whatever, I still have my people here. And that's all that matters to me. But to go into the story, this story, for something about it when I was reading it, first of all, it had me on the edge of my seat the entire time for some reason. Second of all, there was something evil in that house. I'm sorry, it was not just the client's behavior and the fact that she had autism. Too many things were happening that just weren't possible. You seeing her hand in the mirror and then her being directly behind you, and then her eyes changing, and then that deepness in her voice, those were things that you didn't mention, that you maybe hadn't thought about, that were also just not normal, right? And then obviously the cross necklace breaking and the mirror breaking. But the thing that truly gets me about this is the fact that she had autism, right? And she lives by herself and she clearly needed help or she wouldn't have had you there. And a demon is able to attach itself to her. Why? Like, my question is, why would God let something like that happen? And I don't question God a lot because I fully believe and respect God. Like, I believe in God. I'm not a Christian or anything. I'm not religious in any way, but I believe in a lot of this. I have the same values as a Christian has, and I believe in God. I just want to know how that happens. Why does somebody who already has some type of disability, because autism is a form of disability, right, get targeted like that? And why is that able to happen? Maybe somebody can shed some light in the comments of why you think that that happens, because to me that is so sad. And I just am thinking about this poor woman and what she must be going through every day. And does she even know how bad this is? Does she know the gravity of the situation? Because I mean, it doesn't sound like she does. It sounds like she is full blown under some type of possession. It sounds like she's possessed is what it sounds like. And that's terrifying that she is alone. And I would be super interested to know if anyone else that has worked with her has ever experienced anything like that. Did you ever talk to anybody about her or find out if anyone else that had worked with her had any odd experiences with her? Because I would be interested to know that. Or maybe no one else did, because maybe no one else walked into the house with a cross necklace. I mean, that's wild to me. Super terrifying. I'm so glad that you got out of that situation unscathed and that nothing followed you, because that would have been traumatic. But my thoughts on it are that exactly. That's all I was thinking about the whole time I was reading this story, is how could this poor woman be targeted like this? And now she's in this home just that's infested with evil. And what could have caused something like that? Where did that begin? When did that begin? And how did that happen? Because her life is incredibly dark, obviously. And the way that she was smiling and stuff, and her eyes and the scream, those are signs of possession. So she needs to have some type of deliverance or something, or she needs to see a doctor, like a real doctor, to rule out, anything. I always say that people who are going through stuff like this, they need to seek help from a priest and a real doctor to rule out, one or the other, because you can't just go to a priest and assume that it's all paranormal. I do believe you, though. I believe that this is paranormal 100%, but I just always like to say, like, it's important to see a doctor too. So also another question that I would have is, did you ever tell anybody about the experience, like any higher ups about the experience, and what did they have to say about it? I think that's all the questions that I have. But what questions do you guys have, and what do you guys think about the story? Drop that in the comments below. And with that being said, I'm now going to do my favorite part, which is the shout out. My first shout out is going to AllenBy79. You said that you've been a subscriber for a while, but that was the first comment that you left. I haven't responded to it yet, but thank you so much for leaving a comment, and thank you so much for being a subscriber for a long time. I appreciate you being here so much. I appreciate the support, and I appreciate you pushing out my video with your comment. I appreciate you watching me all the time. I would not have this channel without people like you, and so it really does mean so much to me. And I am sorry, guys, if I take too long to respond to comments. I know sometimes it takes me a couple days to respond to them. I have to respond to all the comments on TT too, and there's hundreds of them, and so I come here and do that afterwards. And then my work right now is absolutely insanity because it's Q4, and so I've lost it. But I will always respond to your comments, always. You just have to give me a couple days. It's so important to me to engage with my subscribers and with my TT followers, or I don't even like to call it followers or subscribers, with my YouTube friends and my TT friends. So please don't ever think I'm ignoring you guys. So that's why I haven't responded to your comment yet. And if you have been a subscriber for a long time now, you know that I ramble, so you know that that was coming. So thank you so much. I appreciate you, love, and I hope that you are here to stay. So I love you. Karen Redden, you said that you love my stories, but you don't have one to share of your own. That's okay. I just love that you're here. That's what's important. Thank you so much for leaving that comment and letting me know that you watch my channel. Guys, if you watch my channel, leave a comment and say hi. I like to get to know you guys. Talk to me. Tell me about your day. Tell me what's going on in your life if you'll feel comfortable enough. Like, I want to know more about you guys. You guys know about me, like I guess you do. You hear me ramble all the time. I want to know about you guys. So if you're here, don't just leave a comment because I want you to push out my videos. Leave a comment because I want to know about you guys. I want to know who you are. I want to know who's watching my channel so that I can show you guys appreciation. So thank you so much for leaving a comment, and thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for being a part of my little community that I love so much, and thank you so much for your unwavering support. It means the whole entire world to me, and I love you. And with that being said, my name is Kaisa, and I tell true scary stories down here every single night that you guys submit to me, whether it be in shorts or long form content. So if you're into that, hit that subscribe button so that you can get notified next time I tell a true scary story. Normally my content does not sound this horrible, I promise you. By the way, you guys, I did get a professional camera like 6 months ago. I just have to figure out how to use it. Like, my father bought me a very nice camera and I still don't know how to use it. It was very expensive and I have to start using it for YouTube. So that should be coming soon too. So better quality videos I need to spend more time on YouTube. So there I go again. There I go. You guys just have to expect it at this point. Okay. With that being said, my name is Kaisa and I love you guys so much. What was the last thing that I always do? Oh yeah. Wait, hold on, I forgot it. What is it? Oh my God, what's wrong with me? Keep sending me your scary stories. Have a safe night. What's the third one? Say it with me. Have a spooky night. Love you guys so much. See you in the next one. Spooky kisses and haunted hugs.